Atlanta City Councilmember Jennifer Ide, representing District 6 and Chair of the Finance Committee. Do you have a comment, question, or suggestion related to the City of Atlanta's proposed fiscal year 2022 budget? The Atlanta City Council wants to hear from residents and stakeholders. Which services do you feel need to be prioritized in the fiscal year 2022 budget, which begins July 1st? The general fund budget is set at $706,779,181. There are several ways to reach out and submit your questions and comments to the Council today and during the fiscal year 2022 budget and millage rate public hearing. Send your email to budgettalk@atlantaga.gov. If you prefer, you can submit a video of your question, as long as it's 15 seconds or less. You can message us through Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at ATL Council using the hashtag ATL Budget. To call in with your questions, dial 404-330-6043. We know how important the budget is to you. We welcome your thoughts and your feedback. Thank you.
A native son of Atlanta, C.T. Martin was educated in Atlanta public schools, graduating from Booker T. Washington High School. Martin would attend Shaw University in North Carolina before returning home to earn a master's degree from Atlanta University. Martin was quick to answer the call to community service. The years 1979 through 1981 were dark and troubling times in the city, and a young C.T. Martin stepped forward to serve on the Missing and Murdered Children's Task Force. In 1990, Martin's activism led him to City Hall as he was elected to Atlanta City Council, representing the city's 10th district for the first time. It was the beginning of one of the longest tenures on record for a council representative. Martin served on the City Budget Commission and chaired committees for human resources, public safety, and transportation. His passion for economic development in his district led to the formation of the Martin Luther King Jr. Drive Merchants Association. The ongoing reimagining of the MLK corridor is part of Martin's legacy. C.T. Martin left City Council in 2017, the same year that the $27 million Natatorium and Recreation Center in the Adamsville community was renamed in his honor. It is an enduring symbol of C.T. Martin's commitment to the youth as well as the seniors of the 10th District. C.T. Martin passed away May 8th at the age of 84. He will be remembered as an activist, visionary, and mentor, but most of all, C.T. Martin will be remembered as the Dean of Atlanta City Council.
We're out here downtown today celebrating the completion of 4 projects that were voted on during our Downtown Decides participatory budgeting process. And we're riding a bike from one location to the other to do a ribbon cutting in each of the 4 transportation projects. Some of the projects we're celebrating today are new bike lanes in the Central Business District, the painting of an island in the middle of the road yellow so people can see it, and some new trash cans in the Sweet Auburn corridor. This is the direct result of citizens participating in this program. This is the first time we've done participatory budgeting in Atlanta, and it puts the power directly in people's hands on how tax dollars are spent, and we're just thrilled with the response and the success of the program so far.
This is our annual Eco Depot. We do this once a year out here at Charm. We used to do it at Turner Field, and we did it one year. The very first year we did it at the Civic Center. But this is an annual day where you can get rid of those unwanted, but the things that you know your gut says, don't throw this away, but I can't put it in the garbage and I can't put it in the city's recycling blue bin. So this is the Center for Hard to Recycle Materials. So people are out here today, they're bringing their styrofoam, they're bringing their tires. We've got neighborhood tires that are coming, where someone dumped them. We've got tires that are coming. All of your old electronics, just like when you have that old electric toothbrush that died, your old cell phone that died, you know better than to put it in the trash or the recycling. So you bring it out here to Charm. It's in the springtime, which is so proper for spring cleaning, because then you don't throw out that old paint can that's got paint in it. You don't throw out whatever the Raid bottle that you lost the lid to. You can bring them here and we will properly dispose of them. And everybody is showing up. We've got, the outpouring of people coming out to recycle their items properly is just amazing. Look at all these people. I'm so happy.
Is now 1:30. It's Friday, May 14th, 2021, and we are halfway through day 3 of the City Council review of the Mayor's proposed fiscal year 22 municipal budget. I have been joined by my Vice Chair, Howard Shook, Council President, Felicia Moore, Council members Dustin Hillis, Michael Julian Bond, and Cleta Winslow, and I will acknowledge other council members as they enter the call or when we have a break between when we have. My apologies. I got thrown off the call. So let me start over. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Councilmember Jennifer I. The time is now about 1:32, Friday, May 14th, 2021. And today is day 3 of the City Council review of the Mayor's proposed fiscal year 2022 municipal budget. This morning, we have heard from the Department of Public Works and the Department of Transportation, and we have 2 more sessions this afternoon. I'm joined this afternoon by my Vice Chair, Howard Shook, of the Finance Executive Committee. Also on the line, we have Council President Felicia Moore, Council Members Dustin Hillis, Michael Julian Bond, Cleto Winslow, Joyce Shepard, and I will acknowledge other council members as they come in and out of the call. As I said, we started this morning with Public Works and Department of Transportation. We are now going to turn to watershed management from 12:30 to 1:30, and from 1:30 to 2 we will have customer service ATL 311. An electronic copy of the budget book and all presentations can be found under the proposed fiscal year 2022 budget tab on the Finance Executive page of the City Council website. At the completion of each presentation, council members will be able to ask questions. Please send me a text if you wish to speak. And as other council members come on, I will acknowledge you in a break in the presentations. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Commissioner of Watershed Management, MIKITA Browning, ask you to introduce your team, and you can just, after you do that, you can roll right into your presentation.
Hey, good afternoon, council members. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you for having us again. MIKITA Browning, Commissioner for the Department of Watershed Management. Today we'll be presenting the department's fiscal year 22 budget. I'm joined today by my colleague Mohammed Bala, the Deputy Commissioner of our Office of Financial Administration. You advance to slide number 2. This illustrates the department's current organizational structure. Advancing to slide 3. This slide is a high-level departmental overview of DWM's core services and functions. The Department of Watershed Management is responsible for the City of Atlanta's drinking water and wastewater systems, and is dedicated to providing the highest quality drinking water and wastewater service to the city's businesses, residents, and wholesale customers, while protecting urban waterways, conserving natural resources, and ensuring clean water for downstream neighbors. The department is comprised of 7 offices that support our overall operations. DWM is one of 100 largest utilities in the U.S., defined by our 3 core services. That includes drinking water, water reclamation, and watershed protection. We are supported by a dedicated workforce of over 1,441 dedicated employees. We serve 1.2 million customers per day. We have a strong credit rating. We have a robust 5-year CIP. Fiscal year 21 operating budget was $620 million. So sound financial planning, management, and performance are essential to the department's success. DWM is also currently midway into the $4 billion Clean Water Atlanta program to address 2 federally mandated consent decrees with compliance requirements and to complete necessary improvements to the city's sewer infrastructure. We continue to maintain compliance and foster a positive relationship with regulatory agencies and environmental stakeholders. If you advance to slide 4, this is our fiscal year 22 budgeting approach, and it closely aligns to the department's key performance indicators and ensuring that we meet our target operational goals. Top priority for the department is to maintain compliance with all regulatory requirements and permits. Second to compliance is an important focus on strong service delivery. By meeting established SLAs, it enables us to fully recover costs for treatment and deliver since we are an enterprise-funded operation. From a workforce development standpoint, and for the upcoming fiscal year, we will continue to fund and recruit mission-essential positions. We still have a need to fill critical vacancies, primarily within our operational division. Like many of the utilities, the department is experiencing an aging workforce, limited qualified candidates, and impacts from new technology. Almost 50% of our employees will be ready for retirement in the next 10 years. As a result, our workforce development goals are to ensure we hire and retain highly skilled workers, establish a pipeline of highly skilled workers, and leverage the skills of current employees to meet DWM's business demands and customer expectations. And we will additionally be focusing our efforts to closely review thoughtful measures to address overtime usage and continue to work towards a reduction, set appropriate budget levels and staffing alignment, carefully align our capital investments for the renewal and replacement of aging assets to ensure operational efficiency. And at this time, I want to list Deputy Commissioner Mohammed Bala to cover the next few slides concerning the department's fiscal year 22 budget.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good afternoon, Council members. And I'll briefly go over the next few slides, and I'll hand it back off to the Commissioner to close it off. Next slide, please. The slide before you compares the FY21 and FY22 budget from both anticipations and appropriations perspective. On the anticipation side, you'll see our water and sewer revenues are expected to stay flat as we're still experiencing some stagnation from the recovery. Our most revenues are higher due to better than expected tax collection. And in FY21, we allocated some GFA reimbursements in the others category to offset some of the reductions as we face the pandemic. Fortunately, we don't have to do that this year. On the appropriation side, the majority of our budget is allocated to non-departmental, like debt service, pilot franchise fees, and other non-operational obligations. Our budget is proposed, the DWM core budget is proposed to increase by $10 million. We'll go over that in a little bit more detail later. And our commitment to other city support departments is expected to stay flat. Next slide, please. This slide highlights the historical and projected performance for our major revenue categories. While water and sewer for FY21 are recovering better, there remains uncertainty, and we are keeping that budget conservatively flat compared to FY21. As stated before, most has performed well, better than we anticipated, and thus we are increasing the most budget from back to the historical levels of $130 million from the $110 we projected last year. The following two slides summarize the FY22 budget in both office allocations as well as account groups. As stated, the DWM operational budget will increase by $10 million or 4% from FY21. This is driven primarily by increases in plant maintenance, increases in chemical costs, as well as some of our other operational commitments that we'd like to prioritize in FY22. The next slide is a slide that discusses our efforts around personnel. If you recall, during last year's budget, we started an effort to address our vacancies. We abolished 133 positions, driving our overall vacancy rate from roughly about 18% down to 13%, which is the lowest we've seen in quite some time. And throughout the year, we've also coordinated extremely well with HR and finance so that we can properly align our positions and make sure that our employees are in their respective department orgs appropriately. And for this upcoming budget year, we are not creating any new positions. We plan to reclassify some positions, optimize our departmental structure, and there will be some realignment of positions where the vacancies might be utilized better in other groups. So we intend to do that as well. But overall, you see the positive trend on our vacancy numbers year over year. I'll now hand it over to Commissioner to close us out with our metric slide. Hello?
Are you all ready for questions?
No, so I think Commissioner was going to do the last slide, but
okay.
I'll
That's what I thought you said.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now.
Yeah. All right, sorry about that. All right, so the next slide summarizes the department's key metrics based on industry standards. It details fiscal year 20 actuals, fiscal year 21 targets, as well as fiscal year 22 targets. We're currently working to gather the fiscal year 21 actuals, and we'll closely review the results and progress and institute any necessary changes that will aid us in working towards meeting the target goals. However, we are anticipating that results will be on par with fiscal year 20 or better. Each year, we strive to continue to improve in each key area. A few key areas that will continue to be a focus include service delivery, particularly continuing to improve upon the response times and time frames for completion of work orders, sewer spills per 100 miles, which we have made strides in the right direction of reduction. And it's due to us ramping up our system preventive maintenance efforts to clean and inspect targeted areas of the system where recurring spills appear prone to appear. And we will continue to reduce the number of rain-induced spills as well, and ensure that we continue our compliance with our consent decrees and necessary infrastructure improvements. Similarly, we will also continue to build on improvements in the areas of compliance and operational efficiency as a result of critical repairs and implementation of energy savings measures at our water treatment and reclamation facilities, and that we are optimistic will translate to a decrease in operational costs. In closing, we've included in the appendix a few supplemental slides with additional information. Subject to your questions, this concludes our presentation. We sincerely thank you for your time and attention this afternoon.
Thank you so much for your presentation. Colleagues, anybody have questions for Watershed?
Yeah, Shook.
All right, that's Shook.
That was an obscenely short presentation. Obscene. Congratulations. I'm thinking about your predecessor. Where are we with accounts receivable?
Yes, Council Member. Mr. Mohammed Ball, I'll take that question. So with accounts receivable, we are still experiencing challenges there. Of course, over the last year, due to the pandemic, we have been under a moratorium for commercial as well as residential. That commercial moratorium has been lifted, and we have resumed our collection activity in that category. But to give you some context, overall, we have about 160,000 active accounts. Roughly 20,000 or so are in arrears and past due, and the majority.
Wait, say that again. What?
Roughly 20,000, so about 12% of the customer base, which is not too far off the industry. It's a little bit on the higher end, but not concerningly high. But we do have a large portion, a balanced portion that's outstanding, and that is aggregated primarily on single-family residential homes. So we continue to kind of keep awareness of what's happening around us, and as we move into a better posture of recovery, we will resume those collection activities. As I said, we've already resumed on the commercial side, and we're starting to make some good progress there. We prioritize our collections on the commercial side with the accounts that are carrying larger balances and who haven't made a payment in a significant amount of time. We've also coordinated our efforts with the solicitor's office to make sure that we're addressing properties that are also a nuisance to the community. And if you're a nuisance and you're not paying your bill, you will be in that tier 1 category for disconnection in commercial operations.
Well, I can name you one that slips through that net. But what's the total?
So the total on the residential side outstanding right now is active outstanding is about 72 million. On the commercial side, is roughly about 11.5 million.
Is that a record?
I wouldn't say it's a record, but it is on the higher end.
Well, do you know what the collection rate was for the last billing cycle?
For the last billing cycle, I can have the data for you, but again, roughly what we're seeing is somewhere around on a month-to-month basis, we are generally seeing about 85% of those customers being active. However, I will want to say that when we're looking at it from a billed to collected ratio, we're doing much better. So what it means is that people are starting to pay some of the late bills as well. So on a bill to collection ratio, we're doing much better. We're about 93-95% on a bill to collection ratio.
What's the industry standard?
The industry standard is 98%, and we plan on getting back there soon.
How's the most looking?
Most is performing extremely well. For the FY21, we anticipate our most collections to be right around 146 million, which is a little bit below FY20 numbers, but much better than we had anticipated and what we thought FY21 was going to look like.
All right. In terms of your head count, tell me about your hiring. Is Watershed under any kind of partial freeze? How's that working?
I'll jump in on that. No, we're not under a freeze. However, again, we are focusing our efforts on recruiting mission-critical positions, which are primarily situated in our operational sectors. We're seeing that, as far as retention and just retirement, we're seeing a lot of retirees in those areas, and so we're looking to recruit to build back up our workforce. But we're just focusing on those mission-critical positions that are the key to our day-to-day operations. And
all right, I appreciate your efforts. This leadership crew has done really well in sparing us from having to rehire people and being kind of one step ahead of the game in terms of understanding who's leaving. That's appreciated. I'll just close by saying what we've all said before, but it's always worth repeating. Man, I don't know if anyone who works harder under tougher conditions, in the sleet, in the rain, in trenches up to their knees, than your people do. It's much appreciated. Thank you.
thank you for that, Sam Shook.
Thank you, Councilmember Shook. Councilmember Archibald, I believe you had your hand raised. Did that answer your questions, or do you still have questions of your own?
I have a few. I echo the remarks Councilmember Shook just made around this phenomenal department. Job well done. And have just a couple of additional questions. So, Mr. Bala, did we receive CARES Act dollars that you can identify that one that came in part of FY21, or do you anticipate for FY22? Did I miss that?
Yeah, no, we did not receive direct CARES funding into the utility. But what we have seen is that we're working on the analysis now, is that there is a kind of a correlation or a benefit when homeowners are supported in different ways. Alleviating some of the stressors allows them to make payments and make their obligations. And one of those obligations, of course, being utility bills. So while we didn't receive direct CARES funding into our budget like the airport and general fund, we have seen that once programs are implemented and put in place, such as the support that was lended by the federal government to individuals and as well as paycheck protection kind of programs, once those activities are in place, we see our collections improve.
So you don't get a check directly. For example, United Way has served as a program manager for the funds we receive for initially mortgage and rental assistance. I don't know how those monies come into the city. That's what I'm trying to understand.
Yeah. No, we don't get a check directly into the utilities checking account, but our customers are supported, and once they're supported, they will in turn make payments to us.
Okay, all right. Well, that's really good to hear. Now, I did hear it was a passing comment, but I do believe I distinctly heard that there may be a rate increase on the horizon. Is there anything we can do then to stave that off?
Yes. So I would want to first preface by saying we haven't had a rate increase since fiscal year 2012. And that has been primarily been supported by, of course, the municipal option sales tax being strong, as well as extensions on our consent decree programs, allowing us to finish that program over a longer period of time. And finally, just good operational support, good project coordination on the CIP side that also helps us find value and drive O&M costs down. I think if we can continue to keep that effort around efficiency, if we can continue to identify capital projects that will have a positive effect on our O&M side, and the economy and the recovery continues well, we could probably push the rate increases out. So our last model had indicated that there might be a possibility for a rate increase in FY23. That's likely going to get pushed out a year because things are improving better than we expected. So I think as long as we continue to approach our job diligently and continue to put projects in place that help drive efficiency, we can probably push the time horizon out. It won't be forever because sometimes inflation will catch up with us. But what we intend to do, if there is a rate increase, it would be a slight increase to catch up for inflationary costs, more so than to support additional needs in the utility.
I appreciate that. Where do we, with the infrastructure bill that's being debated at Congress, are our lobbyists, are they engaged with that? And that can also influence whether or not we would need to have a rate increase down the road. Is that the cost for lobbyists, is that borne by the department itself, or is that in the executive budget only?
So we have costs for lobbyists in DWM's budget. With regards to the efforts, I'll let Commissioner Browning take that response, but her team has been working extremely hard and is laser focused on coordinating with the federal partners to make sure that our needs are addressed. Commissioner, you want to add to that?
Yeah, thank you for that, DC Byron. Thank you for that question, Tim Archibald. We have engaged our lobbying team. To Paula's point, we are staying laser focused on the upcoming infrastructure bill and how that might benefit the Department of Watershed Management and help us to deliver our services and more importantly, deliver our capital improvements program. Again, we've got a robust program
that supports, all of our aspects of our assets that we need to maintain and perform improvements. And so we are recalibrating our budget and our CIP to make sure we're identifying the most critical and priority projects to move forward with, understanding what those costs are going to be to deliver those projects, and then, marrying that with available infrastructure, monies that might become available, and look to influence those dollars and to look to infuse those dollars into our overall plan to help deliver the projects and increase efficiencies and system reliability and all those things that help us to deliver the services that we provide every day.
Well, that's good to hear, and I guess I'm thinking more, and I appreciate the laser focus in terms of the allocations for the lobbying expenditure, given the climate in D.C. Are you comfortable with the level of funding, or do you think there needs to be different or more?
I think the funding right now is appropriate, and we'll continue to assess that, over the coming months. But right now, I think we're in a good place.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. That concludes my questions.
Thank you, Councilmember Archibald. Colleagues, anybody else have a question for Watershed? Other than my dog. All right, I do not see anybody else raising a hand, so we're going to break a few minutes early then. And thank you so much for the presentation. Very informative, and we'll stay on top of the potential rate changes. We're going to take a break until 1:30, and then we'll come back for our final session of the day, which will be customer service ATL 311. And so the line can go quiet until then, and I'll see you all back at 1:30.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Line unmuted.